So if the next president of the United States, whoever it might be, President Trump reelected or Vice President Biden, if he called you up the day after the election and said, I need some advice about how to enhance our relationships in Asia, what would be your one or two things you would tell the next president to do?
I would say three things. One, stabilize your relations with China, because for the rest of Asia, we depend on stable US-China relations in order for us to have a secure, predictable environment in which we can make a living and live our lives. It's a big ask, but it's important for the US too. Secondly, I would say, please try and develop a bipartisan consensus so that there is stability and predictability in US-Asian relations. Not just do the right thing for your administration, but make a consensus so that the policy will last beyond your administration and people can plan on it and can depend on it. We had the Obama administration and they talked about the rebalancing towards Asia, and many Asian countries supported that. And we asked Obama, he says, we said, what will happen after your administration? He said, well, this is irreversible. But the Trump administration has a different take. They have raised issues of compensation and payments with the Japanese and the South Koreans. They've also talked about putting more emphasis on Asia, which is welcome, but it's a quite different mood from what Obama used to do. And we don't know what Trump's successor is going to do, or the successor's successor. So if you can establish stable, predictable policy with bipartisan consensus, I think it will be a great help to all your friends and partners who want to be able to depend on you and to rely on you without the risk that one day the big power may suddenly decide its interests lie elsewhere. So, having asked those two things, I would make one third ask, which by comparison perhaps is not so huge, and that is find a way to come back to the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which America took the lead in negotiating, but the Trump administration said, no, this is no good for America. We walk away from it. But the rest of the TPP members have come together and we have followed through and we have the free trade agreement with 11 parties not without the US. But if the US can find a way politically to come back to it and join it, then you're not only advancing US interests in the region, you're also setting a dynamic in the region towards cooperation and the right rules, which will help the region to integrate, which will build trust, which will raise standards for trade and for economic exchange between the countries. And who knows, one day the Chinese may decide they have to come and join the game and participate by the same rules. And I think that you will have had a win-win.
So in your 16 years as Prime Minister, you've met many Chinese leaders, presidents of China. How do you compare the current president of China with others that you've met, is in terms of his abilities, in terms of his desires? How would you assess him compared to his predecessors? Much different or the same?
I don't think we make a custom of assessing one another in public, but I think, if you have met President Xi, you will know that he is a person who knows his mind and engages you, and I think has a clear idea of what he wants China to be. And is very determined to make it happen. It's a very huge country. It is not simple to govern. And I'm sure that he's more preoccupied with his domestic challenges than with the international aspect, important though the international aspects are.